Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. Hope you guys are well today. Happy Monday. Let's kick Monday in the butt. All right. Um, so it is summer. It is our fourth week of our summer training cycle where we do a little bit of a deload. We've been progressing since the spring, since the first week of spring. We've been progressing with our running, getting it up. I think by the end of the spring, we're up to like 25 to 30 miles, depending on who you were. And now we've kept progressing. We're up in the mid 30s. However, this week we dropped it down and got below 20. At least that's the plan. I do have a couple of folks that are adding some miles in there just because of their athletic history and their upcoming uh, ship dates, and they don't want to lose their running edge. They're not natural runners. So anyway, they're adding some runs, and here's how where we add it because they will be going to places this summer where it is warm. So we add a little bit of running in the heat of the day because we swim at 3. So they're going to add in like a 30-40 minute run, 30 or 40 minutes right before our 3 o'clock swim. So that gives them an opportunity to acclimate to the heat and then jump right into the pool and cool themselves off just for safety reasons. And you get a second wind after you do that because half your fatigue is definitely body heat. So, welcome over here over on Instagram. We're also on YouTube, and we're going to take some questions here today, as well as just discuss a little bit about week 4 of the seasonal Tactical Fitness Periodization. We're peaking in our calisthenics, we're peaking in our running and swimming, and it's just a muscle stamina and endurance focus. However, we also this fourth week of the cycle, we are doing a lift week. So it's a little bit of a deload from running and high reps. We add weight, we add barbells, kettlebells, dumbbells, weight vests for the calisthenics. So we're trying to reduce our running miles, not quite in half, maybe by 40%, just from the steady progression we've been doing since spring. And um, just lick our wounds a little bit and take it easy on the progression, take it easy on the reps, maintain some of that hard earned strength gains that we had back from the winter lift cycles. So it's basically a version of block periodization where you have a program set, and every fourth or fifth week or so, or you can decide when to do it. Sometimes I've shortened cycles, I've lengthened cycles depending on how the group is responding to it. Like this spring, for instance, we started the spring cycle 2 weeks early, and we started actually extended the summer cycle, started that a little bit early. So we were ready to get into the cows and cardio. Everybody was kind of burned out from the lifts, and so we just started going a little bit early. Anyway, that's the plan of what we're doing. And next week, it'll be starting our progression back to where we left off and just keep going. So this is just kind of a little plateau in the progression. So it looks somewhat linear, about 15% increase, flattens out a little bit, maybe even dips a little, and then we get back on that progression, 10 to 15. Because I will tell you this, a steady progression for 12, 13 weeks takes a lot out of you to a point where you are risking some overuse injuries, especially if you're new to this kind of training. So that's why we do it. So, all right, what we got here? We got some questions. Nothing on Instagram. How about over here on YouTube? Looks like we got a question. So, what's the difference between pyramids and ladders? Both work for increasing RM, your rep max. Yes, it's all about volume. Pyramids and ladders are technically the same thing. Now, I will tell you this. I actually wrote an article about pyramids, ladders, and we actually did it with I did it with Pavel um, Satsulin, and it was a really good one. In fact, I think it's up on his website, Strong First. I'll post it right here. This is an article we did. So he has an idea, a version of the pyramid that he prefers instead of doing um, a pyramid where you max out and burn yourself out at level 10, let's say, and then repeat it all the way back down to 1. He likes to do a double ladder of that. So when you max out, you get this little built-in recovery time, dropping down to 1 and building yourself back up to level 10 again. And you can get the same amount of volume just with that mid standard rest or recovery time that allows for you to just get better reps, I guess. Because sometimes I will tell you, when I do a 1-10 to 1 pyramid, that 8-9-10, 9-8-7, it's really tough. I mean, it's not impossible if you get used to it. But it is the toughest part of the workout. I personally like pyramids versus double ladders, but I will do a double ladder on those days that I'm like, you know what, I'm kind of burned out. I think I need to drop back down to 1. I still get the same volume, but I get that little recovery midway through the workout. So both work, and it's really up to you as far as preference how you want to do it. I personally, one of my favorite warm-ups is, I call it a half pyramid. Just never got into the ladder statement of what to call it. But you could call it a ladder or a half pyramid. I like to do, like today we did a upper body day. We do 1 pull up, 1 push up. We run to the stop sign and back, which is about, we do this on this park where the outdoor pull up bar. It's about 25 yards down, 25 yards back. And then we do 2 and 2, run, 3 and 3, run, 4 and 4, run. And some of those runs are little dynamic stretches, high knees, karaoke's, butt kickers, stuff like that. Just to get warmed up. And then we run a mile. We go all the way up to 10. So that's 55 pull-ups, 55 push-ups, a little bit of jogs in between. And then we run a mile, come back, and then we start the workout. So that's a very useful way to use a ladder, or I just happen to call them half pyramids, but they are technically ladders. How light should I go when bench press is in the pyramid? It's up to you. That's a good question. I personally, here's how I put bench in the pyramid. I'll go, let's say I work my way up the pyramid with calisthenics to warm up, and then I'll come down and I'll only hit 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 on the bench press. Those get progressively heavier as the reps get lower. It's a typical like little drop set where you're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. It's kind of up to you where you want to do it. If you're going 10 all the way down to 1, that's a little more challenging and time consuming. So I tend to do every other one. And then the ones in between, I'll either just do the calisthenics version of that exercise and then, do every other one as a bench press. So there you go. I hope that answers your question. It's as light as you can handle it or as heavy as you can handle it. That makes sense. Is Chicago paramedic a good job? I don't know. I mean, being a paramedic is a great job if you like saving people's lives. be a first responder because it's a very important job. In Chicago, I don't know. I mean, they got TV shows about. I think they got 3 TV shows in a row of Chicago medic, police, fire. Um, Give us a secret of your massive calves. My secret is pure genetics. Because if you saw my dad's calves, his calves make mine look small, and he does nothing for them. Um, I just grew up that way. They just came in. All my uncles on my dad's side, big calves. Not sure where they came from. Not sure if my granddad had them. Might have come from my grandmom. Not sure. Um, I think burnout rate is high. Yeah, that makes sense. Big cities, yeah. I mean, it's tough for sure. And first responder jobs. That's a good question about pyramids and ladders. I haven't gotten into that one in a while. Is there a set number of cycles you need to go through to get ready for a selection pipeline? Great question. I will tell you this. I've had people go through, and when I say cycles, like this is a summer cycle, this is a fall, this is what we're going to do in the fall, right? That's 2 cycles. That's 24 weeks of training. Um, and then we have a winter cycle, then we have a spring cycle. So we break up our cycles into the seasons, 12 to 13 week seasons. So that's how we define cycles. So it's up to you. There's all different types of cycles. Some cycles are 6 weeks long, some cycles 8 weeks long. Kind of up to you where you do it. So for me, I've had folks come around and do maybe, I think the shortest amount of time someone's worked out with us is about 3 months because they came in with pretty much everything they needed as their athletic history got them the muscle stamina and the speed and the strength and the power and the speed and agility that they needed. The only thing I needed to do with them is help them specifically prepare for PST and some of the buds training events like swimming and treading and those type of things. And that only took a cycle. 3 months, I think, is probably the shortest. However, I've had people come and stay over a year, do 4 or 5 cycles. Really depended on their athletic history. Like sometimes the guys that are endurance athletes that are really skinny and need to put on some mass and are hard gainers, they need to stick around a little longer. And then we also have guys that are just the opposite, strength power athletes that are super heavy. They need to stick around a little longer to lose some weight. They already got all the strength they need. We just need to get them swimming and muscle stamina and endurance type training. So everybody comes into this with a weakness and a strength usually, and that's going to determine how long you need to stay and how many cycles you need to do, to be honest with you. Hey, Stu, I've been watching some of your lives. I was wondering if you have a specific schedule for the lives. I usually just check 9 a.m. Eastern time after my workouts to see if you're streaming. Yes. Um, I put my schedule up. I should probably put it up a little more prominently, I guess. Some of my articles, it tells you what I do. But 9 a.m., not so much, somewhere between 9 and 9:15. My advice is this: just subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll get a notification that I'm on. Same for Instagram. If you subscribe or friend me or whatever over on Instagram, you'll at least see when I pop up, on Instagram if you're on at that time. But at least you'll get an email from YouTube saying I'm on if you put your um, notifications on that level. What was your blog on pull-ups? Uh, See, Ray, I've written a lot on pull-ups. I'm not sure what you're asking. I have, shoot, man, I have probably 50 articles on pull-ups, but um, favorite pull-up workout, maybe favorite workouts to increase. Let's see, 3 favorite workouts to crush pull-ups, push-ups, and sit-ups. Maybe I'll put a few of them up here. If you can get a little more specific on that, I have one where it's a protocol, like a 2-week protocol for pull-ups and push-ups to help people crush pull-ups and push-ups in 2 weeks. And by the way, these are just free articles that you can find on online. Free information. Just check them out. Do you no longer offer 12 weeks to buds on your website? Is it outdated? Have you updated with a new program? Yeah, I have updated with a new program, but I will say this, it's still a very functional workout. This is just what I sell on my website. You can find them on, and this too, this is kind of its companion piece, getting to the training with crushing the PST, getting through with selection with actual specific events. So those two have, I don't want to say it's replaced the 12 weeks to buds, because I'll be honest with you, 12 weeks to buds is a true classic. It's great. I look at those workouts and I'm like, yeah, these are still effective workouts. Would I write them the same way? Probably not. I've evolved in 25 years as a coach. But the splits are logical. The progressions are good. So it still works, especially if you don't have any equipment. It's a great one because it's all calisthenics and cardio. It's really more geared towards the strength athlete that needs to work on muscle stamina and endurance. So I would call my 12 weeks to buds program a summer cycle, just like similar to this one. It's all calisthenics and cardio primarily, but it's a good one. I have no qualms with people just doing that, but if they need to lift, it's not going to have lifting in it. But I wouldn't call it outdated. I would just call it classic. But no, I don't sell it on my website anymore. In fact, I sell these. They're on Amazon. I don't ship out any books from my store anymore. I used to sign them and ship them out, and it was just a lot of extra work that I was either going to have to hire somebody to do it, or I just outsourced it, and now it gets done in a factory or a warehouse somewhere. So it was just a change, and it's freed up probably, I don't know, 3 hours of my day. So you can still get it on Amazon. And in fact, I still have it on my store, but it says, do not buy from here. Click this button, and it takes you to Amazon to buy it. Because I have a lot of links with that in it, and I didn't want it to be dead links. So it's still up on my store. It just says no book. Read the description, and it tells you that you get it on Amazon. Do dips translate to improving push-ups? I would say yes. I mean, push-ups translate into improving push-ups too, but dips can do it. Triceps could do it. Bench press could do it. But yeah, my advice is just do them all. Push-ups, dips, overhead press, bench press. Just get stronger and then get more muscle stamina to do more reps. Let's see. Gringo says, what would you say is the most underestimated event athletic ability required for buds? Great question. Man, that's a good one. I'll be honest with you. I will say 2 of them. I think running is underestimated. I mean, people always say it's a running man's game out there, and usually after buds, they will agree with that statement because you just run all the time. The other one is treading. Treading sucks, especially if you're a lean, non-swimming athlete. You got to bring your A game to those treads, um, and you need practice treading. Practice treading, no hands. Practice treading with weight, with fins. It's not fun. Treading's one of those things that is just one of those little gut checks that um, makes you dig deep. At least for me, and I would say a majority of people have problems with that, and unless they grew up a swimming athlete like water polo or swimming, or they're a little chunky and they're not treading at all, they're just floating because they got some extra body fat. I always tell people who or say treading's so easy. I said, yeah, because you fat. That's why it's easy. You're not treading, you're floating. Here, grab this 10-pound weight, and then we'll talk about treading being easy. Who would win in a paintball war, Navy SEALs or Rangers? Funny question. I don't know. I'm sure it could go either way. Somebody says, Complete Guide to Navy SEAL Fitness is your best book. Well, thank you. It's my first, and I've learned a lot since then, but I agree. It is a really good one. And I think for the main purpose is there's buds events in there. There's PST events in there. It's kind of a combo getting to and through. And it just helps people understand, holy crap, I need to train harder if I'm going to get through buds. And that's usually where most people say what they learned from that program was that. And I'll be honest with you, all my programs are like that. My programs, I write hard workouts. Are they impossible? No. Is buds impossible? No. But you got to prepare properly for it. And I think a lot of people think if they prepare like they prepared for high school football over the summer, they'll be ready. And that's when they make the big mistake and realize they're not ready. Stu, I sink so easily and it is hard to tread water. What advice can you give? Check out my article on treading. That's one. That's going to give you more. In fact, I'll put the link for it right here. It's got the title of it in the page. It's like swimming, the CSS, and treading water, step-by-step breakdown videos. So videos are probably going to help you the most with treading. Watch some YouTube treads of egg beater. But you can also scissor kick and tread, alternating scissor kick. So scissor kick left, scissor kick right, just like that. Nothing wrong with that. I used to sink as well, when I was going through buds, and it was just a gut check. As long as you know it's a gut check, you can bring the right mindset to it and focus. I think where a lot of people screw up is they just don't tread because they say, "Oh, treading's easy." Not a hard time at all. And then they get there and they start treading and they wonder why they feel like they're drowning. And that's a shock to their system. But as long as you know this sucks, that's half the battle. And you need to practice it. But treading is also a mobility issue, right? If you're having a hard time with treading, it might be because you lack a certain hip, knee, and ankle mobility that's going to help you do this. So I'm putting these articles in the links here. You can find them over on YouTube here. You just click them, but over here on Instagram, you're going to have to read the read the title. Treading might be a mobility issue. Try these stretching movements. That will help you. How do you know if a workout is efficient or just dumb hard instead of smart training? What are some indicators? Great question. Man, you guys got some good questions today. May come up with an article on this one. My advice is this. Dumb hard means you're incapable of recovering from the previous workout before you start the next day workout. You also start to feel overuse injuries like joint pain from too many push-ups, wrist pain, shoulder pain, running, hips, knees, shins. Those start showing up as overuse injuries, and that's really when. Now, here's the thing: it's all relative, right? So dumb hard for this guy may be this guy's warm up, right? So I think the best way to frame this is, these are generic workout plans with specific goals. So they're about as good as you get compared to a personalized training program. A personalized training program would take your athletic history, your equipment that you have, your time per day, days per week that you can train, your strengths and weaknesses, and put it into a program each week that has a progression that is logical. When you don't have that and you have generic programs, mine included, and you look at it and say, holy crap, I can't do that. Or just the opposite. Oh man, this is too easy. You might want to add some sets. You might want to take out some sets. You might want to add some miles. You might want to take out some miles, depending on your ability and your time that you have for that workout, for that matter. So that is how you determine what's working for you. And then every month or even every 2 weeks, take a test. Assess yourself. Because like I say all the time, if you're not assessing, you're just guessing. In 2 to 4 weeks, you should see some improvements. At least things are getting easier for you, and you may even improve on some reps and some times, depending on your run times and swim times and technique training and all that. you should see some times. If you're not seeing results and you're seeing negative results, then you're probably doing too much or not enough. So it kind of depends on where you are on that one. That's a good question. That's a tough one to do. How can I increase overall running speed? Well, it depends. Are you trying to run sprints? Like run a 100 meters sprint, trying to do a 40? Trying to run a mile and a half faster? Trying to run a 4 mile faster? Or are you a marathon runner? You're trying to get your mile pace a little bit faster for 26 miles. That question needs more information. But my advice is practice running faster. Seriously. Like if you want to make it a sprint, do some 40s and 50s and 100s. Do some 200s, do some 400s. Run fast. Get used to running fast. Get those legs moving. Get the heart pumping. Do exercises that are more challenging on your legs, like running bleachers and stairs and hills and soft sand. Those will work, leg muscles in different ways than just running on a track. Learn your goal pace. If you're trying to get your mile pace faster, muscle memory that pace. So if you're running an 8-minute mile now and you want to run a 7-minute mile, start running 7-minute mile paces for 400s, 800s, and see if you can put a couple of those together. Next thing you know, you dropped your mile pace, increased your speed by a minute per mile, which is a really good thing to do. Let's see. When your program says 5 to 10 reps, is 5 towards the heavy side and 10 towards the light side? Yes, that's how that works. So my advice is this, depending on what you need to do, okay, I usually put it in this rep range because some people need to work on strength and they need to go heavier with fewer reps. So 5 and less, great rep range for strength. Some people need to put on some muscle mass and also work on some muscle stamina, 8 to 10 reps is a good range for that. 8 to 12 even is a good range for that. So it's kind of up to you what you're working on. Once again, these are generic training programs, and you need to understand how to adapt them for what you need, right? Some people need muscle stamina. Some people need strength. Some people need hypertrophy. Some people need the opposite, but they need to stay strong. Good answer. Also, your program says heavy rows. Is it supposed to be a barbell or can it be a single arm row? Either one. It's up to you. I like both. I like barbell rows a lot because it just really forces you to engage other muscles besides the lats and the biceps. It'll help improve your deadlift as well, get your back a little bit stronger for like, you know, hinges and cleans and things like that. But I personally do it both ways. I'll go heavy for 5 with a big kettlebell, I can row it with a kettlebell, or I'll go moderately heavy for 5 or 10 with a barbell. Kind of up to you. Let's see. Where should someone start with your programs to get prepared for NSW? I have a baseline of fitness, not overweight, but need to check all the boxes: strength, endurance, speed, etc. Well, for NSW specifically, I mean, my seasonal stuff works for that. A lot of guys are on that program here locally with us. But if you want specifically focused, these two right here. Phase 1, this is going to focus on the PST and get your muscle stamina ready. And you're checking the box on if you're able to pass it. This one is going to be focused more on the BUD specific workouts, events that you're going to get tested on, from pool skills to running, rucking, load bearing activities with the log and the boats, grip that affects with the obstacle course, all of those things. Your videos have helped me get in shape for Marine Corps Junior ROTC at my school. Good job. Glad it's working for you. Let's see. C-Ray says, what's the biggest mistake people make when preparing for special ops selection? Good question. Biggest mistake, I will be honest with you, specifically talking about the BUDS process and even a little bit of the Air Force special warfare process, because here's the reason. They don't really recruit as much from like the Marines and the soldiers in the Army. They can come from the Army and they have a background of rucking and being a Marine, being a soldier, doing those jobs. And it seems to be an easier transition as they've progressed in their time in service, and they come in, and the attrition rates are a little lower for those guys because of that. For the Air Force and the Air Force Special Warfare and Navy Special Warfare, it's a little bit different because we tend to recruit from the street, right? Not the fleet, and then bring them in. They go through boot camp, they go through prep, and then they go through their selections. Unfortunately, the answer is actually in your question: preparing. Most people don't prepare past the PST. So they focus on getting to BUDS, but they don't focus on getting through BUDS, right? And I think they're just impatient with their preparation, and the best they can do is crush a PST, but they haven't done enough of the specific events that they're actually going to get tested once they're there, like 4-mile runs and 2-mile swims with fins and pool skills and treading and drown proofing and knot tying, obstacle courses, logs and boats, getting cold, getting yelled at. So I think a lot of people are just ill prepared for their spec ops selection. I think is just a general answer to your question, but it can vary from all of those reasons. It'd be awesome to train with you guys once I finish college next spring. Any advice to go about doing that? Yeah, go to heroesoftomorrow.org and it will send you to a page in my website that shows our schedule, what we do, a little bit more about our program here locally. It's a free training program. People who want to serve are serving, even have served. We get some veterans that come back and help with just being mentors. Let's see. In the PJ pipeline right now, just got to SEER. Any tips? I don't, be honest with you, I know SEER's it's just one of those challenges. A little bit different than normal like spec ops pipelines. A lot of survival skills, obviously, that's in there. There's a huge psychological and mental aspect to it with the evasion, and then of course resistance and escape. Is what SEER stands for. So my advice is this: it we went through SEER right after Buds, and there was really no preparation for it. I mean, everything you're going to do in the pipeline is going to prepare you for SEER. You just need to engage creatively and keep that thinking part of your brain on. Don't go to your happy place and disengage. You need to be engaged and thinking about what you're saying, what you're doing. Get creative, like how can I escape? How can I do things to make this easier on me. All of those things are really important. So stay engaged mentally is probably the biggest thing. It's real easy to be in the surf zone and just disengage and focus on your happy place and wondering like, yeah, wonder when this is going to be over. And, you know, so yep. Is your son going into the teams? No, but he is doing. He wants to do law enforcement, so he is applying to federal law enforcement jobs right now and doing well. He should be in that world soon. Have you seen HRT guys that weren't military? 100%. Have had a couple come through our program. Um, they were police officers first, then FBI agents, and then SWAT teams on their FBI agent as an FBI agent, and then went over to HRT. So it happens. We had one that was a paramedic too. So he's like the HRT paramedic guy now, or one of many. Um, Trying to learn treading well, do you recommend investing time in the egg beater or just building leg strength with flutter kick treading? Really struggling with getting the egg beater down. Yeah, you know what? Egg beater is definitely a mobility issue. If you look at the link right below, at least on my comment section, it's right below you. It said treading might be a mobility issue, especially with egg beater, because it requires hip, knee, and ankle mobility to be in such a way that you can actually produce downward force with that egg beater. And a lot of people miss miss I guess name. I think egg beater is a poor name for what it is. Right? A lot of people think you spread your leg or you spin your legs like this, like an egg beater would, but actually you're trying to push down with the inside of your foot like you're kicking a soccer ball to the bottom of the pool. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. And it's an alternating breaststroke kick. Take out the whole egg beater idea of it's not this. It's an alternating breaststroke kick with the inside of your foot and shin and calf pushing straight down to the bottom so you go up. If you're just spinning your legs in a circle like this, you might stay up depending on what kind of angle your shins are, it might produce some vertical force. But if you really want to produce vertical force, you got to push down so you go up. So think of it with physics, not with a name. Love your new book. What's the hardest mental situation you experience? Never quit mindset. Um, mine for me happened when I was a lot younger, and it was probably the difference maker of me quitting or failing out versus passing at the Naval Academy. And it's one of the things I put in the book is probably my own journey is that was the difference maker of me just saying I can't quit. My mom was like, "Come on home. It sounds like you're having a horrible time there." And I was. I mean, I was failing a couple classes, didn't make the football team. It just wasn't, and my identity was in football, where I grew up. And I was homesick, it just sucked. 18-year-old kid right out of high school. And I did everything I could to prepare myself to get there. I just didn't think of a single thing that I needed to do to get through there. And realizing I needed to up my game, that took another probably year of really struggle. So, I mean, that is me, I guess, professionally mental stuff. I mean, the other mental stuff just, when family members die and that kicks you into nuts, you know, for several months. But professionally, I would say that would be it. That was a difference maker between me graduating from that place or just going home. Just that never quit. And that's why I try to coach with that program. It's just like never quit mindset because it can make the difference between what you do now and for the rest of your life. Just want to thanks for all your help. I'm with that agency that has the training academy in Laurel. I graduated our rescue swimmers program. 14 of us started at selection. Nice. Our 3-week EMT course that went out, only 2 of us finished. Damn, that's awesome. Thanks for your help all these years. Yeah, man. Come join us. Practice some of that swimming with us. Good job. What are mental skills that are helpful when being in the military special forces? All of them. I mean, I don't even know which ones to tell you to focus on. Every little thing that you can do to mentally prepare yourself, make yourself tougher, make you think clearer, make you think creatively through problems. I mean, all of those things have to be a thoughts process in your brain when you're going through stuff because guess what? Every time you go do something, it's never going to go as planned and you got to work through a problem to get it done. And sometimes that problem means you have to work harder to get through something or you get a little creative and you actually work easier to get through something. I personally, work smarter, not harder is a great mindset to have. However, sometimes you just got to work harder and push through it. Um, which mask and fins would you recommend? Well, I will tell you this. If you go to attackleet.com, I think that's what it's called, they got all the stuff you need over there. Attackleet.com. Yeah, they're a little pricey, so my advice would be this. Look at what they have over there, ATACLETE. See what they have over there, and you might be able to find it on eBay. I usually get, jet fins over rocket fins, but it's kind of up to you. But you're either going to be issued jet fins or rocket fins, or an option of both. I would prefer jet fins over those rocket fins. The attack elite fins are pretty good. we have guys wearing those. And then, the masks, the ones you see on there, see if you can find them on Amazon or eBay for cheaper. You know, I mean, I like Attack-Elite, they're good, but if you're in a pinch, I have found, my guys have found rucks and boots and fins and masks on eBay quite often. Everybody's getting rid of them, you know. What's your biggest advice for a high school graduate right into boot camp to prep for buds? I don't recommend that, to be honest with you. My biggest advice is don't be in a hurry to join at 18 years old, because most 18-year-olds don't make it. That's my first piece of advice for you. My second piece of advice is, if you're not going to listen to that, take some time and actually prepare yourself, not only just to crush the PST, but to crush the events that actually you're going to do at Buds. I can't tell you how many 18-year-old kids have never swum with fins and they show up at prep. And they've never run 4 miles. They barely pass a mile and a half, right? It is just, they're not crushing the PST, they're barely passing the PST. Don't be that guy, because you're going to show up and realize that you screwed up real quick. But my advice is don't even go as a teenager. And, I can't tell you how many people actually say, if we had a 20-year-old age limit, our attrition rate would probably be cut in half, at least. So, all right, let's see. Over here on Instagram, got some more questions. I got a few more questions, and I got to go. Got a big list of to-dos to do. Want to sir, which program is equivalent to search and rescue technician, Canadian Armed Forces? Crushes my first PST. Now waiting selection in January. I'm not sure. Rescue swimmer. I mean, I do have a rescue swimmer program. I just don't have a copy of one here, or I'd show you. But I have a Navy search and rescue and Coast Guard rescue swimmer program. It's a really good one, and it is loaded with swim stuff. The other one would be, I'd probably say, the Air Force Special Warfare one, because that is also a lot of pool skills in it. But I think the rescue swimmer would have more in it. So, but you're also running and you're also PTing all the time. It's got a lot of that in. Just read an article. It says freestyle of side stroke, or do you mean freestyle or side stroke? Yes, that's what I mean. Come on, man. It's a little typo. You ever heard of freestyle of side stroke? I've never heard of that. Freestyle or side stroke. Send me that article link. I can fix it, because that's a typo. Another similar question: would a dumb hard workout give you some mental toughness to make it through Hell Week? Is Hell Week one big dumb hard workout? Once again, great question. Yes, but just listen. There's a fine line between mental toughness and stupidity. Just let you know, that line is usually the difference between hitting, making yourself a little more confident and mentally tough, or getting injured. That's the line that you're trying to balance when you do that. So it's a tough one. I mean, you got to know your body. You got to listen to your body, and sometimes you got to push yourself and hope you don't get hurt. I can't tell you how many times I've pushed myself and I realized I did too much. And now I got to take a week off because I hurt my leg or something. Okay, so treading might be a mobility issue, as a has a typo in it. Thank you. Appreciate it. I can fix that later. Thank you. I have your main book, The Complete Guide to Navy SEAL Fitness, and sticking to it profusely. Good. Do you feel like the idea of the title Navy SEAL versus the process of what it takes to become? Do you feel like do you feel people like the idea of the title of Navy SEAL versus? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, most recruiting stations come in there, people go in there and say, Navy recruiters tell me this all the time. They say, yeah, what's a Navy SEAL have to do? And they have done no research whatsoever. And so they show them, well, you got to take this PST. And usually, believe it or not, people say, ooh, yeah, it's not for me. So people like the title of it for sure. They don't like the process of what it takes to do it. Ordering your book today, but there is a big difference between PJ and CRO selection when it comes to training. Is there? No, yeah, the test is a little different. The selection is very water oriented, so you got to crush the water on both of them. Um, so they're going to be there's more similarities than differences, other than the swim and the run are twice as long, 3 times as long. So you got to swim 1,500 meters for your time swim for the CRO, combat rescue officer, and you got to run 3 miles instead of a mile and a half. So that's probably the biggest difference. Um, and then on top of all of the selection stuff, because there are different selections, on top of um, the selection for CRO, there's a leadership aspect to it as well. So you got those challenges. But physically, they're going to be the same. I've had people do CRO and PJs and use that program countless times. All right, folks, I do need to go. I appreciate your time today. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 9 o'clock ish. We'll do some CSS critiques. If you have any CSS videos you want to send me, I'm happy to critique them for you. Don't need to do it. In fact, I don't do all of them online to show. It's just a few that usually, I pick that because there are very common issues that are occurring. But yeah, send them my way. Happy to assist. If you haven't gone to stewsmithfitness.com, go check it out. There's a lot of stuff over there. Tons of articles, tons of free workouts in those articles, and video links to technique swimming as well as programming. In fact, you can save 15%. Use the live15 coupon code for sticking around this long. I appreciate you doing that. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.